Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Yecca. Today, I'm so excited. I have my friend Courtney Luna on today to talk carnivore, her new cookbook, and maybe a little bit of conspiracy stuff. Thanks so much for coming on, Courtney.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited today. I remember when you were first starting out carnivore a little while ago, and my friend Jessica, she linked us up through Instagram, and I know you had, some struggles that you've now overcome, and I would really love if you could share a little bit of your struggles and how you started with carnivore. I just love your story, so if you could share a little bit of that, that would be great.
Yeah, so I have a long history of yo-yo dieting for like 25 years. I've tried all the fad diets, and I feel like I got a little bit closer to health with paleo and keto. And then I was keto on and off for about 7 years, and I like gained 50 pounds during both my pregnancies, lost it with low carb keto, and then I stopped doing what was working for me, and I got caught up in the anti-diet culture BS, and I gained 40 pounds in 4 months. So my husband gently suggested I go back to keto again, and I wasn't quite ready. But then he was sending me Saladino's TikToks for like a month, and we never talked about it. And I'm like, why are you sending me these? And I'm like, should we not eat vegetables? Or that's so weird. He's like, oh, I need to do my research. So of course he goes to YouTube University, does some research, and we tried it out, and I've been carnivore ever since.
That's awesome. So, did both of y'all try carnivore, like start carnivore together, or did you start it first, or how did that go?
Yeah, we both started at the same time, and I started off animal based. So, for about the first 5 weeks, I had fruit. I was mindful about the fruit amount that I had just coming from a low carb place, but quickly realized that that fruit had a hold of me. So, even after eating like a pound of ribeye, my mouth still wanted blueberries. So, I gave that up after 5 weeks. But yeah, he was carnivore since the beginning. He goes off plan here and there, but he's a moderator, so he can do that and get right back on track, where I've learned that I need to abstain from foods that I because I can't moderate.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like guys are better able to do that, fall off of carnivore and then still see the benefits, whereas women, whether it be food addiction or our hormones or whatever, like it's harder for women to be moderators. And I know for me too, I tried to do the whole meat and fruit thing. I can't. And especially like I live alone, so if I in the summertime I buy a watermelon, I have to eat the whole watermelon. Like, and I have to. Like, I can't just, I can't just not eat it all. So yeah, I totally get that with the meat and fruit. It was very hard, and for me, it actually made me go to it made me pre-diabetic, and like there was like actual signs and symptoms, and it was just from like a month or two of doing that, and I gained like a bunch of fat. Like it wasn't weight, it wasn't muscle weight and all that. So yeah, the meat and fruit, I know a lot of people see benefits from it, but I know a lot of people also see negative side effects from it, so I totally feel you on that. And I want to say to everybody that's watching, y'all know that Courtney is doing something right, because she gets so much hate from the online trolls and goblins. And I will say that I am totally jealous of that because so I know one of the reasons that you stuck with carnivore is for mental health too. And so I wanted to ask, like, how would you compare how well you handle the hate comments now versus when you were first starting out? Because I remember we would chat about this too in Messenger, about some of the haters in your comments.
Yeah, I was blindsided by it because I wasn't following other influencers at the time. So I didn't know what to expect. I feel like, if someone starts sharing their journey today, they have a good idea that people are going to be, S sorry, my mouth is horrible. I almost said the SH word. People
Oh,
are going to be, you know, dumping on them all these bad things. So I didn't know I had that to expect. So I was very caught off guard because I was already sharing my low carb keto journey online. So it was just a natural shift. Like, oh, here's what I'm trying now. No one cared before. Like, no one said, I never got any bad comments, even with like my keto stuff. So it's like, something crazy happens when you remove the vegetables. And so, yeah, I was just like naturally sharing, like, this is what I'm trying, day, blah, 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 of carnivore diet. And I remember the one video where it just really like kicked off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, this is wild. And mostly on TikTok. I feel like now my TikTok's kind of dead and I'm getting the hate on like Instagram. But when I first started, TikTok was horrendous. And I was like in it because at the time it's like, oh, when you're new and you're getting some comments, like you need to reply to all of them. So I was in there like reading all of them. And there was there would be days where I would cry because okay, when they're talking about, oh, you're gonna have a heart attack, you're gonna have this, that, and what, like that can roll off your back. But when people are commenting on your insecurities, like that can be upsetting. Or commenting on me as a mom, like I could just reach through my phone and so it was very hard in the beginning. And I've had to do a lot of like inner work, which is so annoying because it's like these people are the problem. They're the ones that are leaving these nasty comments. But now I have to be the one to learn how to handle that. And heaven forbid you clap back, then you're the bad guy. It's like, is nobody realizing what was said? Like, and it sounds so stupid, like they started it, but it's like the only reason I would ever be rude to someone back is if they said something rude to me first. I'm not just going around being rude, you know? So it took a lot to adjust to. You tell yourself all the things, hurt people, they're miserable, so they want to make other people miserable. And that's true, but it still can be hard sometimes. So yeah, I mean, over the years, the last 2 years, my mental health has improved drastically by eating this way, but the internet has been definitely affecting that. And I've had a lot of rough days because of comments. And so now I've learned, you know, a lot of the nice comments get overlooked because I'm not in there reading them. I'll jump back in a video after I first share it and engage with people. But after that, like, I'm out because I feel like that's when it gets worse. Like, once it's been out there for a while and the comments start dogpiling, like, that's when the haters pop in. And I don't have it in me. I don't care. Like, I'm learning that other people's opinions of me are none of my business. And I still, struggle with it sometimes, but the easy answer is to just not even read them.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm so proud of you too for sticking with it because I know like people can be really, really mean online. And, like you said, like especially when they're attacking you being a mom or your kids or anything like that. Like I don't have kids, but I can imagine how hard that is to hear that stuff. So I'm really proud of you for sticking through it and working through the how difficult it is and understanding that hurt people do hurt people, and sometimes I feel like we have to be put in stupid situations like that. And by the way, this is a free speech platform, so if you curse, that's totally fine. Like I don't care. You just be yourself. So it's totally okay. um but yeah, so yeah, I think that's really amazing, that you sometimes you have to be put in those kinds of stupid situations to grow and be more understanding of other people's situations. And like a joke that I like to make is like that with people like that, it's like their lack of cholesterol is showing, because obviously like people in this space understand that cholesterol is important, whereas like a normie would not understand that joke at all. They'd be like, what are you talking about? Cholesterol is bad. And so, the lack of cholesterol in people's brains, causes them to seriously have these mental health issues where they just are attacking somebody who's trying to make their life better and trying to feel their best and all this good stuff, and they're just going to attack you because they are literally not physically healthy, which we know like physical health is tied to mental health also. So kudos to you for sticking through it and growing from that retarded situation. But
Yeah.
yeah, another thing that you've definitely inspired me to want to get a TikTok as well because of all the haters. I'm a freak and I love people attacking me because like I was saying earlier, like that's how you know that you're doing something right is people are just going to be attacking you for, what seems like no reason. It's like, what are you doing? Like you're staying in your own lane over here and then there's people over here just attacking you. So that's how you know that you're doing something right. And so I actually did finally get a TikTok a couple days ago. It took me a lot of just energy to to want to do that. But I think there's still just not enough awareness around carnivore, even though people like Sean Baker and like even I started in 2017, and I do feel like it's getting more popular nowadays, and but I still think that we need to bring more awareness to it, because there's still a lot of sick people out in the world, and there's still a lot of miscommunication out in the world. And um, so I wanted to share your cookbook really quick. I have it here, you guys. I've mentioned it in my last episode and the previous one before that. So I am so happy for you to have this done. I feel like I'm sure it took a long time, but I feel like you put this together so quickly too.
It was
Um,
it it was a quicker timeline, and they let me do the timeline, so that was all on me, but I was like, "We need to get this out sooner than later." So, yeah, I we first, like, had our first meeting last June. So, from our first meeting to publication date was June of last year to October now. So, I can't do math. A little over a year. A year and some change. Yeah, it was a quick process. But
that's
yeah, thank
awesome.
you. I'm excited. I'm excited for it to be out. I kind of like forget that it's not out yet because so many of you guys got your advanced copies that it like hasn't registered. Like someone's like, "Oh, what are you going to do to celebrate like publication date?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm like that yeah, my book's not out yet. Like it hasn't even been published for everybody. So yeah, I'm like still wrapping my head around that. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I am really excited to get into some of those recipes. You've also inspired me to get a meat slicer and dehydrator so I can make those meat chips. Those are those are next on my list of gifts for self-care to get for myself. Um, I'm really sad I can't make the cinnamon rolls because I don't eat pork.
Mm.
So now I'm on a quest to either make or find someone to make beef rinds so I can. There used to be a company that made beef rinds, but they were sold out, and then I guess they shut down or something. I'd imagine it's not easy to make beef rinds.
Oh, and you know what? I've never heard of that or seen it. So I will say I must have made this and it wasn't good because the dough for the cinnamon rolls I use for the pizza too. And in the pizza recipe, there is a sub for chicken flour instead of the pork rinds. So you could swap it for the cinnamon rolls, but I must have tried and it probably wasn't that great. Just like flavor wise, I think the pork's better, but in like the pizza, like the chicken flour flavor got hidden, so it was fine. So you could always try and like the measurements, if you look at the Carnisa one, you could apply it to the cinnamon roll. But yeah, someone else asked me that, and I'm like, I'm like, I must have made it and didn't like it. Otherwise, I feel like I would have put the substitution in that one. But I
Yeah,
didn't realize beef rinds. That's interesting. But yeah, but I
yeah.
know there's beef flour.
Yeah,
But
it's not the same like pork rinds. They're more fatty, and like
yeah,
the skin, like the collagen. And
yeah, that's true.
I know I've done like some chicken flour, like with the carnivore crisp chicken flour, like for dessert recipes. I agree, it's not really easy to mask that chicken flour flavor with the sweet, or like the non-savory carnivore stuff. And like, because I eat stevia, so like even with the stevia, like chicken flour, I don't know, you would think chicken doesn't have that much flavor, but when you're trying to make it into a dessert, it really does. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think it needs the savory things. Yeah, and it's dense too, so it's not an equal
Mhm.
swap to the pork. But yeah, you would think chicken, it's such a neutral flavor, but I don't love it as much as the pork panko.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm definitely gonna look into seeing if I can get some stuff to make the beef rinds. But I've seen like recipe videos on how to make pork rinds, and it's like a lot of work. Like you have to
Yeah.
boil it, and then I think you have to dry them, and then you fry them. It's like a whole like yeah, it's a whole thing.
No,
So
thank you.
yeah,
I'll pay for
yeah.
convenience.
I know, right? So lately I've been doing I'm sure you know Maria Emmerich. I've been doing her like egg white cinnamon rolls for that, but it's not the same. Like I can tell in the pictures and in your videos of your cinnamon rolls that they have like a more like dense with a crispy on the outside and like chewy on the inside. Like I can see it. I can like imagine it, how delicious it is,
Yeah,
more
it's like
realistic.
a dough. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a dough. Yeah, it's actually nice. It's one of my favorites. I'm bummed you
Awesome.
can't have it. I'm sorry.
I know. Me too. I am on a quest for the beef rinds. So if anybody knows where to get beef rinds, let me know. Um, but yeah, so next I want to chat a little bit about how carnivore isn't a one size fits all approach. Like I know you've tried many different ways to do carnivore since you started. And I also want to encourage other people listening who is doing carnivore that might be struggling to seek other ways to do it. Like it's some people can get away with eating when you're hungry and drinking water when you're thirsty. But it's not always that's not always the case for everybody. And so I know people like struggle with that. And so I want to encourage other people to seek other ways to do it because it really is like a big self experimentation. Then I want to ask what is your carnivore? How are you doing carnivore currently right now?
Yeah, so I just made some changes like a couple days ago and I haven't totally talked about it. So just for like a little backstory, when I first did carnivore, I was equal protein and fat. So I was tracking macros. I was 130 grams of fat, 130 grams of protein every day. And that worked out great for losing 45 pounds. And then I stalled and then I just took a break from tracking. And then I switched things up. I went a little bit higher protein with just a little bit less fat. And that worked. I slowly but surely lost another 10 pounds. And I'm just recently, mainly out of curiosity, switching to higher fat. So my macros land at about 80/20. And so for me, that looks like about 100 grams of protein, which I would say is like the bare minimum that people should be having. So I'm aware that it is on the lower side and my fat's around 150. But I was just realizing lately that when I was keto, these were roughly my macros. Mind you, there was a little bit, carbs, like 20 carbs, but it's just interesting that why did that change? Like all of a sudden, because I feel like people go from keto to carnivore, go from keto and having keto macros to then you go carnivore, and it's like a jump in protein, and people are eating, 2 pounds of meat. So I'm just playing around with switching that up again. And I've been tracking my ketones, and I never really did in the past. Once in a while, they'd be like maybe 0.2, zero point 0.4. And lately, since upping my fat, I'm around like 0.7, zero point 0.8, which is like, good solid ketosis numbers. And also because my glucose has been high lately. And there's definitely something going on with me. Like my labs have shown that since going carnivore, my A1C has gone down, but it's still not amazing. It's 5.5, which isn't awful. But with that, and then, having my glucose numbers be a little high once in a while, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to play around with these new macros because having the higher fat should lower my glucose too. But I'm only on like day 3. And I've done it once in the past. I did a 1 week high fat carnivore diet, felt great, lost 2 pounds, immediately went back to regular carnivore after that. But right now I'm going against my coaches. Love you guys. Sorry. Because I've just been curious and it's been in my head for like a month and a half. Like I've been thinking about it. I've been seeing it everywhere. It's made a lot of sense to me. So I'm like, I just need to try it. And it's just about self experimenting and just seeing, what works best for you. Some people feel really good, high fat or sorry, high protein and, moderate fat. And some people feel better when they are insanely high fat and they're like deep in ketosis. So you just got to figure out what works best for you and your body because yes, we're all human, but there is some individuality. I can't ever say that word. Bioindividuality, is that right?
Yes, you did it.
And we we process things different. So yeah, it's just worth, playing around with your macros and seeing what works best for you.
Yeah, for sure. And um I've mentioned before, like having a coach is great for those kinds of reasons too, to offer different suggestions, different ways to do it and stuff. But also, like us as women, we have the gift of intuition. And so, sometimes, like you said, it just was in your head. Like sometimes we just have to listen to that and kind of just see how that works. And, especially with our hormones changing on a day to day basis, some days we do need more fat and some days we do need more protein. Are you familiar with Dr. Mindy Pell's?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I've
she's
been
great.
trying to do her not like her dietary recommendations, but like take what she says with the hormones and like just turn it into carnivore. Like the basically like the week leading up to your period, you eat more fat, you eat more calories, all that stuff. Maybe a little bit of carbs. And so like, like dairy has carbs and certain and liver has carbs, eggs have carbs, a lot of feel like a lot of people think that all animal foods have zero carbs,
Yeah,
but that's just
scallops.
not the case. Yeah,
Scallops
scallops,
are
and
really high carb.
I know crab also has carbs too, and so there's a lot of carbs that you can get in a carnivore diet. It's not like a super high carb like a potato or whatever, but if you are tracking the micronutrients like that, then that's definitely some things that you can look into. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do since getting back on carnivore. And I don't know if you mentioned this earlier. How much weight have you lost since you started carnivore?
So I lost 55 pounds and I gained a couple. So I think I'm only like a few pounds off of that. Like I'm at like maybe 52 pounds lost right now. It's just that last, I still probably have 15 to go and it's stubborn and it's frustrating. Honestly, I'm so burnt out with being in weight loss mode. I feel like some people, they're just like, oh, start carnivore. I forgot to eat and now I'm at my goal weight. Where there's so many of us, even though it doesn't feel like there's so many of us, but I know like we're struggling to get those last 10, 15 pounds off. And man, it's annoying.
Yes, no, I feel you. I'm kind of there right now, and the last little bit is always going to be the hardest. And then also another thing too that I wanted to ask, you did not work out right in the beginning, but now you are. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I did a little bit here and there, I think, like off and on. And in the past, before carnivore, like I've been active and we did do weightlifting here and there, but nothing. I'm so bad at being consistent about things. Like even right now, I'm like, okay, like I'm a month and a half into this plan with my coach. And at first in the beginning, it's like exciting. And I was working out before that, but now I'm like, okay, the excitement has worn off. I'm sick of going to the gym. Like, I don't mean to be negative, but I'm just being honest. Like, I battle it. And so, yeah, I am lifting right now. And I have been, I would say, kind of consistently for the last almost a year because I was with other coaches for like 6 months. But still, even like a year of doing it, you think you would be like addicted. No, it's rough.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I used to like it was never really part of my lifestyle. It took me 2 years or more even to be carnivore, to be like, okay, I'm ready now. And then I liked it. But I feel like, a lot of people are like, oh, you have to go to the gym to be healthy. But I think it's the other way around. Like I think you have to be healthy and like in the right mentality and physically able to work out to be able to go to the gym. And so like I think that's why it took me a long time, because I was like that too. Like I would force myself to go to the gym and be like, oh, it's all in my head. Like once I get there and I do the workout, I'll feel fine. No, I was like in a worse mood leaving the gym than when I got there when I first started out. And I would just like I forced myself for like a month or two, and then I was like, that's it. I still had my gym membership because I was like, maybe if I pay every month and it'll make me want to go, but I did not. And it took me a really long time to get to going to the gym, and even then like I've fallen off and not been consistent. So these past couple weeks I've been a little bit more consistent. So that's been good, but I totally know what you mean about not wanting to go or any of that. It is very hard if it's not like something that has been a part of your life regularly.
Yeah, and
Um
I think that's okay. I don't think people like let's start off slow, baby steps. You don't need to
mhm,
completely change your diet and then go lift weights 6 days a week. Like let's just start with some diet changes and go for a walk. Like if
mhm.
you're trying to do all these things at once, like it's going to be a little too much. So yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And then, when you feel ready, then go because I do believe it's very important, especially as women that we need to be lifting weights. It's great for our bone density as we get older. You want to protect your bones with that muscle. And if you fall, the muscle is going to protect you from breaking your hip. So it's definitely very important. But yeah, I wouldn't pressure yourself to like do all the things, make all the changes, on day one. It can be a little much.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that's something that is talked about a lot too in carnivore. Like when you're starting out carnivore, just start with that. Don't try to change all these different things, because switching to carnivore is already a lot for your body to be adjusting to, and your digestive system has to adjust to that, and your set of your mind frame has to change too. So it's a lot just changing to carnivore. So don't change, don't do carnivore and then also do workout, if it's not something that's a part of your regular life. I totally agree with that there. And I do agree too that women need to put on muscle. Both men and women, but women, it's I feel like a lot of women are scared to put on muscle because they're like, oh, I don't want to look bulky and all this stuff. And it is a lot of work to get bulky looking and a lot of eating. Like you have to eat so much. Like I actually am trying to put on muscle right now, and it is so hard. Like the hardest part is actually eating enough, because like it's you have to eat so much just to maintain muscle, and if you don't, it's like the workout was a waste, or you'll be tired the next day and all that stuff. So not only is it like it takes a lot of work in the gym, but it also takes a lot of work of eating. And I love to eat, but even then, like it's still hard to hit the protein. Like I've been having to eat 3 meals a day. Do you currently eat 3 meals a day, or how often do you eat?
I've been doing 2 lately. So I've switched my approach to that. I have always pushed off my first meal and done like an eating window, say from like 10 to 6 or so, or even like later. Like sometimes even I'd go to 2 and I'd be so proud of myself. But then it's like I'm learning more about just like the circadian rhythm stuff and even just leptin. So I had like leptin resistance on my labs. So I knew I should be eating breakfast, but for my thing, it was like, okay, when I eat breakfast, it opens up the floodgates. I want to eat all day. It's hard for me to end my eating window at like 3 o'clock when I have like the rest of the day to live my life. It's hard to not eat. But I think it was hard because I had leptin resistance. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I feel like there's a saying for that, but I had to maybe battle wanting to eat a lot to get my, hormones in check and regulate by having breakfast, if that makes sense. So I've been working on that lately. And it's hard because being done at 3 o'clock when you're awake for 6 more hours and you like to eat like I do, it's hard, but I can tell a difference. And I think it's been helping.
That's awesome. And I bet it's a lot easier to get your calories though in with 2 meals a day when you're doing higher fat versus higher protein, because that's been my struggle. It's like I cannot eat 2 meals with almost 100 grams of protein per meal. Like I'm trying to eat at least 170, to 200 grams of protein right now, and it's so hard to get that in just 2 meals. So I bet it's easier to get everything that you need in 2 meals when you're doing higher fat versus protein.
Yeah, because it is less volume, but I'll say, like,
Mhm.
in the beginning, I used to maybe eat, like, half a pound of meat at one sitting, and I think I slowly stretched my stomach out. Because then, a month ago, a few weeks ago, I could eat a pound in one sitting, where I never used to be like that. And so, yeah, switching to higher fat, it's less volume of food. It ends up being, just to keep it simple, like, say like a pound of ground beef, a couple eggs, and then like 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of butter is like all the food. Whereas I used to like eat that in one sitting, that much meat. So yeah, it changes things up. And so yeah, I'm still kind of playing around with that because I'm a volume eater.
Yeah, for sure. Have you noticed any like side effects from certain meats or eggs or dairy or anything like that?
No, I feel like I'm lucky I haven't had any issues that some people have, like histamines or anything like that. Like everything is, seemed to be fine for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I noticed like I have like I get side effects when I eat pork and shellfish and all that stuff, and so I always limited that stuff in the past when I did used to eat it. But then I just started living a more biblical life, and that's why I decided to just fully cut it out. I was like, look, I'm already limiting these foods, so I might as well. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut them out, and I do feel best eating beef for the majority of the time. And I wish I could, like I said, I wish I could eat pork rinds without having like all those side effects and things like that. But I'll just live vicariously through everybody online eating them and, and my friends. Um, but yeah, I think that's really awesome because I know there's a lot of different side effects that people have, and I think I'm actually reacting to eggs a little bit. I haven't been getting like pasture raised, soy free, corn free. I haven't been getting like the super high quality eggs. I've just been getting the organic ones at the grocery store, but they're just cage free, and we know that's not really like they're still not in the sunlight or getting bugs or anything like that. My local egg farmer they had a chicken massacre, living out in the wild. So they lost a bunch of chickens, I think either to a fox or coyote. So I've been waiting for them to get back on that, to see if that's been an issue. Um, but yeah, I think that's awesome that you've been able to eat all that stuff and have no problems. Um, Also, and I know something else that you benefited. You used to take medication, right? And now you don't. How long did it
Yeah.
take for that to be in effect, where you could stop taking it? I remember when you were posting about it, I was so happy for you.
Yeah, so I was on Zoloft for anxiety and depression, and I was on such a high dose at one point that it numbed me out. So I lowered it from 100 milligrams to 25 milligrams, and that wasn't enough. Like I still wasn't feeling amazing, but I didn't feel like such a robot. So going into carnivore, I was at that low dose, and about like a month in, I could feel a difference, and I'm like, wow, like this is interesting. So I slowly weaned myself off, like probably over 3 months, because I tried to go off of it the January before I went carnivore, and I was horribly sick. Like my doctor, she never said, I thought withdrawal symptoms were from people that went off of it cold turkey. So I thought I had the flu at one point. I was having these, what I now know are brain zaps. Like I'd move my eyes and it would be like I'm being electrocuted. And she like didn't let me know that that could be a thing. So even weaning off, like she told me to in 2 weeks, it was horrendous. So I took it very slow this time. I broke them in half and then I took those halves. I did pill cutter. Like at one point, I was taking like a grain of rice size, you know? So yeah, a month in and I could see a huge difference. And of course, I still, have my moments, but it's so much better than it was.
That's amazing. And when did you start carnivore?
May of 2022.
Okay,
So a
awesome.
little over 2 years.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I'm not surprised that your doctor didn't tell you the side effects, even off of even if you're just gonna wean off, because I'm sure she still wanted you to take them.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah. Do you take any other supplements, any carnivore supplements or anything like that right now?
I am so I'm okay. I'm kind of all over the place right now. I
Mm.
take Element sometimes because I like the salty taste. I just do the unflavored, but I'm loving Beam Minerals. It's minerals and electrolytes. I'm horribly consistent. And then I mean, this is a whole other topic. I was taking a bunch of supplements to try and fix like some issues I was having showing up on my labs, like the glucose stuff and all this. But I'm taking a break. I haven't told my person that, but I'm going to take a break for a few days because it was making me feel miserable. Um, but yeah, so just those. And I might start them back up again. I don't know. I mean, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, like normal carnivore, maybe the electrolytes, but then, you see some of the long-term carnivores that don't take any electrolytes and they'll say because if you're taking them, then our body's not making them properly. So, I don't know. That's a whole other rabbit hole to go down too.
Oh, that's interesting. I never heard that. What I learned from Sean Baker when I used to do coaching over on his website, he was saying that if you're on any kind of low carb, whether it's keto, low carb, or carnivore, your body can't hold on to the electrolytes as much. So you have to supplement with the
Hmm.
electrolytes and salt. But yeah, I haven't gone down that rabbit hole. I just listened to the training and, and that's what I went with. Because I did notice, like when I first did carnivore in 2017, I was drinking almost like 2 gallons of water because I like back then there was no information other than success stories. So that's all I really had to rely on. I had no idea that you needed electrolytes. And so I was just drinking like a gallon and a half of water every day for like the first month until like my body regulated. But yeah, it was crazy. So and I'll take electrolytes sometimes, but I do take Redmond real salt every morning. Like I just take like a little half a teaspoon, like a pill, and I'll salt my water a little bit, especially when I go to the gym and things like that. And yeah, I know what you mean. It's about taking supplements too. Just like nobody wants to take a mouthful of pills every morning, like no matter what. So I do take some supplements right now, and sometimes I just do them like temporarily. Like I'm just going to buy this bottle, and when I'm done with it, like that's it. I'm not going to take it again. But one thing I do like to take is magnesium. That's one that like I always take no matter what. And I can tell like when I run out and forget to get more, like I can tell I'm a little more on the edge, and I'm like, what is wrong with everybody? And then it's like, oh, it's me.
Yeah, and then that's a good point because I used to take one on its own, and then lately I'm just like, okay, whatever in my, electrolyte mixes. But yeah, I mean, they say like 80% of the population is deficient in magnesium, and it does lead to having some like anxiety issues. So I should probably take that again now that you say that. Like yeah, I need that.
Yeah, that's one that I definitely like. I like to bring up a lot because yeah, like you said, a huge amount of people are deficient in it, and I think it has like over 300 functions in our body or something insane. Like it does a lot, and there's not a. It's really hard to get it in food, and I don't even know any. Like I don't know what foods are a good source of magnesium. So that's something that I should probably look into also. But um, I know your kids, they're not carnivore, right? But they do eat more meat now that you have been carnivore.
Yeah, I would call them more like animal based, I guess. So they eat what we eat and then they do have fruit. They will have occasional things that are crap, if you will. I just did a grocery order and I got them gluten-free crackers, which I actually never buy. So I don't know what that was about, but just once in a while giving them that stuff. We give them freedom when we're at like a birthday party. I hate it because I feel like every birthday party just feeds so much crap. And that's not just a one off for that family. Like everyone's eating like this, but I don't want to like create weird food issues. And I'm very aware of the comments I get that I'm going to create an eating disorder in them. So we just try and teach them proper nutrition, teach them macros when we're at home and they want a piece of fruit. It's like, okay, what protein are you going to pair with that? And just tell them to listen to your body. So I'll feed them before a birthday party, but they'll have pizza and they'll have cake. It's like, okay, just listen to your stomach. Like, you don't need to eat all this. Just because it's here, you don't need to eat all of it. And then later, when they don't feel good and they're running around like crazy chickens, it's like, okay, this is why you're feeling this way because we're eating food that isn't the best for our bodies. So, yeah, it's a battle in a way that I hope I'm not screwing them up. Um, so I'm just hoping for the best.
Yeah, no, I think that's the best way to go about it, really. Like you're the parent, so you have to teach them. And I think, that's what you're doing is you're teaching them, and you're letting them make their own decisions like that. And that's the best way anybody can learn, kids and adults, is through through trial and error. And the fact that they do recognize that they are, I'm sure they do recognize that they're not feeling good after eating cake and ice cream and all that stuff, then you can tell, like, you associate it with, this is why you feel bad, like, and then maybe they'll grow up to understand to, okay, maybe I'll just have a one or two bites of cake, or maybe I'll only have one slice of pizza instead of three, or whatever. And so I think that's the best way to go about it with kids, because like they are going to feel left out if they don't get to have the pizza and cake, and that can be really damaging to a kid mentally. And but at the same time, you're like, I don't want you to eat any of it because it's also going to hurt you if you do. So yeah, I think the way that you're doing it is a really great way, and the best way that you can do it is just by educating them, and just making sure that they have those good options at home. And I'm sure they love, or I know that they love all your recipes that you come out with, because I see you posting about it, and you're like, it's kid approved. So yeah, I love that. And I think it's so great that you're able to do that for them too, because I know a lot of people aren't able to cook for their family all the time, and be able to come up with healthier recipes. So that's why I want everyone to go get your book too. So you can have easy, accessible recipes that are kid friendly. Have you noticed any benefits in your kids, in like their just like mental health or their energy or anything like that, since you've switched them to being more animal based and eating more meat and all that stuff?
Yes, absolutely. Their energy is 24/7, unfortunately. Like there's no crashes. I feel like when you're, eating all that stuff and you crash, at least you get like a little bit of a lull. No, stable, crazy energy all day. But yeah, I can definitely tell a difference when they have things that isn't ideal. Yeah, I definitely see a huge shift in their behavior too. And I've even had comments from friends that are teachers that don't eat this way, but they're like, oh my gosh, the most like crazy kids in the morning, I'll ask what they had for breakfast, and it's like cereal or bagels or whatever. And the ones that are like calm, like they had like bacon and eggs. So I mean, it's definitely a thing how it's affecting them. And yeah, you just want them to be like nourished and feel good. Like yeah, a normal pizza might be delicious, but how are you feeling after? So I don't want them to like feel like garbage just because it tastes good. So yeah, teaching them, not just saying, oh, cake isn't good for us, but like why it's not good for us and what it's doing. And yes, it tastes good and it's fun to have. So we'll have a little bit, but here's why it's not good for us. And here's why this is good and why we should have meat. And like my 4-year-old, she'll be like, fat is flavor. Like she loves the fat on the steak. So just, teaching them a little bit more of why we're eating this way and why these certain foods are good for us and what they're doing. It's like when I was little, I remember being told, oh, eat your carrots for your eyesight. So kind of just like teaching them this, okay, like, eat this steak for your brain. The fat's going to be good for your brain. And, just like explaining it kind of how they can understand, but like the why behind it.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure they're more receptive to hearing that when you tell them why instead of just when you're telling a kid, eat this, not that, and not giving them a reason why, because kids are sponges, they're so smart, and especially when you feed them proper nutrition, like, and they want to learn and stuff. Do they help you in the kitchen? Do they like to cook and help you in the kitchen when you're cooking up stuff?
Yeah, a little bit more than like my patience allows for. Um, Speak of one, they're trying to sneak in right now. Go back over there. But yeah, I mean it's fun for them to be. I don't want you on camera right now. So sorry.
It's okay.
What? I need you to go back with your brother. I will get you a snack when I'm done, okay? We'll have a popsicle. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're
There's
okay.
supposed to be zombies on the TV right now. We don't do much screen time, so this was supposed to work and it's not.
Yeah, it's okay.
So yes, having all fruit popsicles at the house is a
Hmm.
great option. Go. My gosh. I will
Yeah.
feed you when I'm done.
To eat.
I'll be out in a minute.
Can I grab something?
Go. Oh my gosh. I told them, I'm like, only come in if it's an emergency. Do not talk to me about the TV. Do not talk to me about food. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's all
They're a
good.
little young to, I think, totally grasp what's going on.
Yes, for sure. I mean, they're still kids, so but yeah, so we can start getting wrapping this up so they can get their popsicles. Do you get like the good pops? Is that's like the fruit
Um,
juice ones, right?
yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, we get
Yeah,
something at Sprouts. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, and
Except
there's so many alternatives now.
but so many have sugars. Like we don't need to put sugar.
Oh,
Like
like added sugar.
fruit,
I know, yeah, fruit
yeah,
is already sweet.
fruit's sweet. But
Yeah.
even that, I hate to even have popsicles in the house because they're constantly asking for them. So
Oh,
there
yeah,
it's
for sure.
few and far between. But when we have them, it's like let's just eat them all now and be done with it, and then they're out of the house.
Yeah. I have someone in the comments. I'm on Rockfin too. She's saying to hang in there. This is their emergency, the popsicles.
And see, and that's exactly like in their life, the fact that they're hungry right now is an emergency. And I did feed them 45 minutes ago. Um, but they're kids. Even if you're feeding them nutrient dense, foods, I swear they still want to eat like every couple hours.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that too. Like with my friends that feed their kids similarly, it's like they're eating all the time, but they're growing. They're little babies. They gotta grow
Yeah.
up still. So here I'll get towards the end here. I wanted to, let's see, I guess the last thing here I have is I wanted to get into a little bit of weird stuff because carnivore is totally normal. And I hope you don't mind me stealing your saying eat meat and question everything for this episode. But I wanted to ask when you started questioning everything and like what got you into that kind of lifestyle.
I feel like TikTok is the best platform for conspiracy theorists. Like, you're gonna love it over there. Once your FYP like figures out like your algorithm, like it's such good stuff and stuff that I used to um think like, oh no, that's crazy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it really does. Eating this way has you questioning everything because I feel like we have been lied to about nutrition. What else have we been lied to? You know, like it's got to be more than just that. So, like, yeah, conspiracy theories are like one of my most favorite topics to go down.
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's something that I've been interested in since I was a kid. Like I didn't even know conspiracy theories were a thing, but I had my own conspiracy theories since I was like really young. And I just think it's so awesome how a lot of carnivores are kind of on that same wavelength because like how you were saying, like we were told growing up to eat vegetables and bread and garbage and everything's okay in moderation. And so, now that we're on the other side of that, um, I think it's so awesome that a lot of carnivores are kind of on the same wavelength with the conspiracies and all that stuff. But yeah, the TikTok. I still got to get used to it. I don't like how like when you open it, it's like immediately here's a video. Like, and I'm just like, I'm not ready like for that. So I'm still getting used to. I just got it like a couple of days ago, so I'm still getting used to it and then learning it and figuring out how it all works and stuff. But yeah, I'll definitely get on some conspiracies on there so it's not showing because right now it's just showing me random stuff that I do not care for because I haven't
Yeah, it's
messed with
learning
the
what you
algorithm.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So but yeah, so I want to thank you again for coming on. It was so much fun. I want to let y'all know that y'all can pre-order Courtney's cookbook. And I love the pictures too. It's so beautiful and you look so good too. Like I'm so happy for your journey. Um and I was so honored to be able to get a early sneak peek of it. Thank you again so much for sending that. I keep talking about it, so now I need to actually try some of these recipes. And since I'd fallen off carnivore, I just got back to carnivore these past few weeks. So I've just been trying to like force myself to eat enough, and like I've just been kind of eating the same stuff. But now that I'm like mentally feeling better and physically feeling better, I'm ready to get back to doing some recipes. So I'll definitely check out some of the recipes on there and share them on social media. So to finish this off, just tell people where they can find you and how they can order your cookbook as well.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so it's available for pre-order right now. It comes out October 1st. If you pre-order, go to my website. There's a cookbook tab. You can get a sneak peek to some of the recipes, like the cinnamon rolls and the pizza and a few other things. It is available. It will all be linked there on my website, but it's online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, and IndieBound. And right now it's just online. If pre-sales do amazing, then that could tell a store that they should carry it in store. And that would be awesome because more people could see it. So I think it's a great way to vote with your dollar and support not just me and my work, but like the whole carnivore community and just to help get this message out to people so they know it's an option. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I love your book too because it's not just a cookbook. Like you have meal plans in there and why eating meat is important and a lot of easy to understand information on why carnivore is beneficial and why people should try it out. So I love that it's not just a bunch of recipes. So definitely check it out, especially if you're wanting to try out carnivore. It's a really, really awesome book. The pictures are beautiful. Like I said, I love it. And then you're also there's a meetup coming up next month as well in
Yeah,
California?
Yeah, there's going to be two. So October 5th is in Ventura, a local shop. She resells beef, so she has like some cows. She's not like out there doing the farming, but she sells that. So we'll be going up to Ventura. So come find me on Instagram for more information about that. I'm trying to think. Her handle is like Harvest Gathering Farm something. So if you find me on Instagram, I can get you that info. And then at the end of October, I haven't planned anything for it. I really just want to keep it simple, but just do like a Laguna Beach meetup and honestly just meeting and hanging, talking, going for a walk sounds the most easiest. I feel like I should feed people, like we should probably share a meal together, but I'm trying to like not overwhelm myself. So that one is still like up in the air, but it would be probably, I think the second to last weekend or last weekend, whatever it is, in October. So again, come find me on Instagram and send me a message and I can get you those details.
Awesome. How exciting. I wish I was there a week earlier when I'm going. It's so I
Oh,
can
that's
be at
right.
that meetup. Yeah. But hopefully you'll be free that Sunday and then we can meet up. That would be really awesome. I would love that. But yeah, you guys, and your website, you didn't say, what is your website? Just CourtneyLuna.com, or what's your website?
CourtneyLuna.com, which can I just add that I bought that domain before I was even engaged. I'm like, someday I'm going to need a website. And look, it turned out for the best.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, definitely, guys, check out her cookbook and check her out on Instagram. And thank you again so much for coming on. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.